Hello and welcome to an introduction to AML, also known as anti-money laundering. Welcome to Compliance Channel UK. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel. Today we'll be giving you an introduction to an abbreviation of anti-money laundering, also known as AML. We really hope you get a lot from our channel today, and we look forward to introducing you to different aspects of it. Introduction. What is anti-money laundering? Why is money laundering a risk to firms? The three main stages of money laundering, what can firms do to combat money laundering, who is responsible for preventing money laundering business risks, how to identify money laundering related risks, what is the Suspicious Activity Report, SAR, the five main POCO regulations relating to money laundering, the responsibilities of an MLRO, and last but not least, a summary. So, what is anti-money laundering? So, in a nutshell, anti-money laundering, also known as AML, is the execution of transactions to eventually convert illegally obtained money into legal money. The difference between money laundering and terrorist financing is that terrorist financing can derive from illegitimate or legitimate activities, whereas money laundering itself is always derived from the proceeds of crime, illicit funds. Okay, so why is money laundering a risk to firms? Money laundering is seen as critical to the effective operation of transnational and organised crime. However, money laundering affects countries, for example, the economy, government and social well-being in different ways. So the economic effects of money laundering discussed includes, but is not limited to, undermining the legitimate private sector, loss of control of systems and controls as an example. So the three main stages of money laundering are stage one being placement, so the illicit funds placed in a financial instrument. Stage two is layering, repeated transfers, deposits and withdrawals. And then we have stage three, which is integration, so actually using the funds that were cleaned by the layering to purchase legitimate assets. So each stage is a way in which criminals use to conceal the source of their original funds. So what can firms do to combat money laundering? Scrutinise unusually large and or complex transactions, reviewing suspicious or unusual patterns of transactions. How about disallowing anonymity among financial transactions? I won't read out the full list here, but also it can be conducting client due diligence, training employees as an example, or just maintaining complete and thorough records. So who is responsible for preventing money laundering business risks? Ultimately, any person within a firm who detects money laundering during business operations has the responsibility to escalate or report their concerns to the money laundering reporting officer, who's also known as the MLRO. The senior managers of a money service business are responsible for the oversight of compliance with the regulations, so they can be held personally accountable as per everybody else involved. How to identify money laundering related risks. So I'll just touch on a few of these here. So use a risk-based approach to identifying and preventing money laundering. Create policies, procedures and controls that actively reduce the risk of financial crime. Evaluate risk reduction measures. So the size, nature and complexity of a business. This is something that can be scrutinised and reviewed heavily. What is a Suspicious Activity Report? So a Suspicious Activity Report, also known as a SAR, alert law enforcement to potential instances of money laundering or terrorist financing. SARs are made by financial institutions and other professionals. So this is usually escalated by the MLRO, although anybody can actually produce a SAR. So SARs is a disclosure made to the National Crime Agency about known or suspected money laundering. So the National Crime Agency is also known as the NCA. So the five main POCO regulations relating to money laundering. The money laundering itself is a criminal activity that both damages the economy and facilitates and funds criminal acts. So the five main proceeds of crime acts is something that you can read into, but one, for example, is conceals criminal property, disguises criminal property, converts criminal property, transfers criminal property, removes criminal property from England and Wales or from Scotland and or from Northern Ireland. So in regards to this act here, it's simply about making sure that people are aware of different aspects of financial crime and money laundering and the way in which this can be reduced by identifying anything that may fall into line with these kind of practices or behaviours. There are a number of regulations and laws surrounding anti-money laundering efforts, including the Proceeds of Crime Act 2002, which we've obviously read through and touched on, and the Terrorist Act 2000, and the anti-money laundering regulations as well, which we've obviously just read into as well. So the summary, we'll finish up on the summary here. The difference between money laundering and terrorist financing is that terrorist financing could derive from illegitimate or legitimate activities, whereas money laundering is always derived from the proceeds of crime. Money laundering is seen as critical to the effective operation of transnational and organised crime. So what are the three main stages of money laundering? So you should be able to tell me these now. There's placement, followed by layering, following by integration. All employees in a firm are responsible for detecting and escalating financial crime risks. A suspicious activity report is a disclosure made to the National Crime Agency, and there are 5 main regulatory requirements under the Proceeds of Crime Act, which we've also gone through. So thank you very much for listening to our presentation here at Compliance Channel UK. Please feel free to visit our slide version or go back to any points that we've touched on today. Thank you.